Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Stitching and welcome back. This video I'm actually going to walk you guys through the very basics of crocheting. I've been getting a couple of questions regarding that, so let's go ahead and just talk about it and walk you guys through a few of the things. So one of the main things for crocheting is crochet hooks. There are many brands. There are, also like what you would consider like no-name brands, and you can start with those. Actually, they're really great to start with. But then as you start crocheting, you're gonna figure out which brand you like to use. I personally like to use the Clover brand. They are a little bit more expensive, but I would not say that they are like the most expensive. So they're probably like medium tier, but absolutely worth it. Even as a beginner, I'd say it's worth it. Like my daughter, she loves using Clover hooks, and she even says, wow, I can notice the difference, and she's 10, so it's totally worth it. It's smoother when you're working with the yarn. It just glides up and down. It's great. Plus it's ergonomic when you're holding it. I kind of do like the pencil hold when I'm crocheting, and it's this flat part on the hook is great for your thumb when it's resting there. I love it. So that's hooks. Then also another thing you should know, the smaller the number of the hook, so like a 2mm hook is going to be much smaller than your 7mm hook, obviously, but there's that. Then another thing you're going to be using for crocheting is a tapestry needle. This is really funny. When I first started crocheting, I had bought a crochet pattern book from, I think it was like Michael's or Joann's or something, and one of the patterns said I was going to need a tapestry needle. I had absolutely no idea what that was, and I remember being in the store and Googling, what is a tapestry needle? And then what do you need it for when it comes to crocheting? So it is basically a sewing needle that is bigger, and it has more of a blunt tip versus a very pointy tip. There are some that are curved like the one that I have, and then there are straight ones. I personally like the curved one because I've been doing a lot of plushies, and it's really easy to get in and out when you are weaving in your ends when it's kind of curved. There are also metal ones like this, and there are plastic ones. I personally like the metal. The plastic tends to bend, so I like the metal ones, and they're not that much more money, honestly. There's like Amazon and Temu, and you get them for like $1 for like 12 of them. It's crazy cheap. And also the difference on the tapestry needle is the eye of the needle, I don't know if I can show you, is much bigger than on a regular sewing needle. So you can actually put yarn through it instead of thread. Okay, so then another thing you're gonna need are stitch markers. Some people use actual stitch markers like I do. There are locking stitch markers, and then there are also the other kind of stitch markers where they're kind of just like a circular spiral, and it doesn't technically lock, it's just like maybe I'll find a photo and insert it into this video so you guys know what I'm talking about. I like the locking ones because when I'm working, like, I get crazy, and if it's not locked, it's just like flies off. So I use that. Or you can use a bobby pin, you can use a safety pin. Some people even use scraps of yarn. So it's not like you have to go out and buy these, but use some type of stitch marker. Then obviously scissors, right? We need to cut. So you don't need to have tiny ones, but whatever scissors will cut yarn, you're good to go. Now, I did want to mention, we were talking about crochet hooks before. This is a 7mm crochet hook, and my daughter wanted me to show you guys what a smaller crochet hook would look like to give you guys an example. So here's a set of hers. Like for instance, here's a 3mm, and look how much smaller that is, right? And then 2mm, oh my gosh, this one's like super tiny. See that tiny little hook? And then here's that 7. Do you see the difference? Yeah, substantial. Thank you, daughter. You may take these. Okay, then comes the yarn. Oh my gosh, you guys, the possibilities are endless. Let me actually take you off of the tripod thingy and show you what we've got for yarn options. Okay, so you have yarn options of thick plushy yarn. These are all going to be the category weight of super bulky, and that would be a number 6. So that's what these are, just different brands. Okay, then you're going to have just regular bulky, which is going to be the category 5. I believe this one's a 6 too. Yeah, super bulky. And then you're going to have lighter weight ones. You're going to have, so remember, this was the 5, and then now we're going to have 4, which is medium weight. That is great for granny squares, things like that, right? Then you're going to find thinner ones, like, I think this is the 3. And honestly, that's the smallest I work with. I don't like working with tiny yarn. I've done it, I hate it, and I've donated all my tiny yarn. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the yarns. And then depending on what yarn you're using is what size hook you'll use. So here is one of the yarns I'm actually borrowing from my daughter. I believe this is a category 5 or 6. Thinking 6? I think it's 6. But this type of yarn is fantastic for beginners. So if you're just learning how to crochet and you get frustrated working with regular yarn where it like comes apart, like for instance, let me actually grab one here and I'll show you guys what I mean. So like this kind, do you see how it's put together with like 4 strands, right? Different strands of yarn. Well, this non-fray yarn doesn't have strands. It's kind of like t-shirt material, I'd say, in a way. Here's another one of hers. This is the smaller one. I think this is like a 3 or 2. Oh, it's a 4. She's correcting me. It's a 4. Okay, so this is a 4, and yeah, so this has to be like a 6. These are fantastic for beginners. It's not going to fray. It glides on your hook, especially if you're using a clover. So let's talk about how to make a slip knot. That is one of the first things you're going to need to know how to make when you're crocheting. So there are 1,001 different ways to make it. You're basically just making a knot that like moves, right? Okay, so like I said, there's 1,001 ways to make a slip knot, but here is one of the ways. So you twist so you're holding your yarn, you twist it, and you're going to grab the shorter tail and pull it through that hole that you just made, or loop that you just made, and there's your slip knot. So then what you will do is slide the slip knot onto the hook that you're going to use, and then you tighten it onto your hook by pulling the tail, and you've created your slip knot. Now the next great thing, or next very crucial thing to crocheting, is you're going to need to know how to yarn over and then chain. So yarn over means you get your yarn, your working yarn, and you put it over your hook, which is called yarn over. Pull that yarn that you just yarned over with through the loop that's already on your hook, and there you've created your first chain. So you're going to want to continue to do that. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Do you see how working with this yarn is really great for beginners? Because it's not coming apart with the 4 or 5 or 6 strands that make up, typical yarn. So remember, we're yarning over, we're pulling through. I like to kind of do a pencil hold on my crochet hook. I yarn over. I like to hold my working yarn with my lower 2 fingers here, and then I like using my pointer, middle, and thumb to work with my project, to hold it, move it, maneuver it how I need to, right? So just keep on going. You'll get faster as you go. You're going to enjoy it more as you go, but just be patient, okay? So you've made your chain. It looks really pretty, and it looks like a braid almost, right? Okay, so now let's show you guys how to do a single crochet working into your chain. Okay, so whenever you're working into a chain, you never work into the first chain from your hook, because if you do that, you're going to undo the work you just did. So you never want to do that. You always want to work into at least the second chain from the hook, okay? So to do a single crochet, all you're going to do is get your hook and shove it into that second chain from your hook. Okay, then get your working yarn, yarn over, remember yarn over, pull through, and you're going to have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over one more time and pull through both of those loops. And that's how you do a single crochet, and that's your first single crochet. Now, if you were actually making a project, this is where you would use your stitch marker to mark the first stitch of that row. And that is the point of it, right? That way you know when and where to stop. So let's do another single crochet. We're going to insert our hook into the next chain, pull or yarn over, pull through. You're going to have 2, yarn over and pull through. I'll show you guys one more time. Put your hook inside the next chain, and then you're going to yarn over your hook, pull through. You've got 2, yarn over, and then pull through. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it back to the end so I can show you guys how to do a chain and then turn your work. Okay, so I've completed all my single crochets down that row. Here's how it looks. Gorgeous, right? Now, here's how we turn our work. You're going to always want to chain before you turn your work, or after you turn your work, but always chain. If you don't chain, you're going to end up like pretty wonky. You want it a straight line with what you're making, so always chain. Now, here is a secret. If you are doing single crochet, you're going to chain 1 when you turn your work. If you're doing a half double crochet, you're going to chain 2. If you're doing double crochet, you're going to chain 3. And if you're doing the treble crochet or the triple crochet, you're going to chain 4. But we are doing we're doing single crochet, so we're only going to chain 1. So remember how we chain? We yarn over and pull through, boom, done. Now turn our work. Remember, whenever you're working on a project, that when you turn your work, you turn it the same way every single time you turn your work. That way it doesn't get wonky. So if you turn it this way right now, make sure you turn it that way the next time. I always, so that way I never forget, I always turn toward my working yarn, and then I'll never forget. Okay, now to work in your second row, you're just going to do a single crochet into that first stitch. So get your hook, insert it into the first stitch, and the first stitch, you can see, looks like a V. So you're going to insert your hook under the V, under both of the yarns that make up the V. Yarn over, pull through. You have 2 again on your hook, yarn over and pull through, and that's it. So then you're just inserting your hook under the V again, the second V, which is a stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then just keep going. And this is all that you're doing. So if you're a beginner, just practice this. Just do a chain of like 10 or 12 and work on working back and forth until you can make your corners and your edges straight by chaining and stuff, okay? And not missing how many stitches you have. So if you started with 10, make sure you're ending with 10. Otherwise, instead of making a rectangle or a square, you're going to end up making a triangle. And you don't want to do that. So that's all you got to do. Just keep going. And then when we get to the end of this row again, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and just keep on going. So this is one of my first videos of the super basics of crocheting. I'm going to be releasing another video that has very basic crochet stitches. We're going to work on the half double crochet, and the treble crochet. Whoops. I am then going to release another video after that of showing you guys how to work in the round. How do we make a magic circle? How do we work in the round? Then we're going to do another video of how do we do increases and decreases. How do we work in the front loop and the back loop? How do we read a crochet pattern? Oh my goodness, can that be difficult in the beginning? So that's going to be another video. So if you guys have any questions as a beginner of how to crochet or something that you've been struggling with and you just can't figure it out, feel free to leave me a comment. I am more than happy to answer your comment, and then if it requires a video, I could crank that out for you guys and just show you guys, because I remember not knowing how to do a few things, and it's frustrating because it's like, okay, who do I ask? But feel free to ask me. Please share this video with all of your friends who are beginners. Let's start a community of beginner crocheters and help each other, be there for each other to learn all these new stitches and everything. And then we're going to start learning how to make clothing and plushies and all kind of fun things, right? So stay tuned for all of those awesome beginner or very beginner friendly videos to come. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell because it will tell you guys when I upload. I don't have like a specific day that I upload every week, but I do upload at least one video a week, if not more. So yeah, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.